Hello everyone, it's DUSK7. Today we are playing DIMIR Frogculus again, but this build is a bit different. It's trying to be a bit more aggressive, a bit more proactive. Okay, so if you compare it to the build from last week on my channel, I made the list, which is basically classic DIMIR Frogtide, adding in 4th Unearthed and 4 Oculus with some minor changes to the rest of the build. But here I take a completely different approach. I take a very aggressive creature you can play on turn 1 like Nethergoyf and add Mishra Bauble, which also works well with the other 1-drop Tamiyo in the deck. Together with 8 cantrips, this can you can very easily flip Tamiyo on turn 2 in this deck, and also Thought Scour, Consider are great in making growing Goyf, making it bigger. Together with Mishra Bauble and these 8 cantrips work great with both of our 1-drops. Okay, so instead of the counter spells, spell snares, spell pierces, in this build got Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize works better with Nethergoyf, and it's proactive, and you are trying to be aggressive in the first turns. Like you want to play turn 2 Frog or turn 3 Oculus. You don't want to wait holding a counterspell in this version, and you just want to jam threats and overrun the board in the early turns, play a few Thoughtseize and try to win real fast. Also got Drown in the Loch in this version. Drown in the Loch works so much better with Thoughtseizes. And in this deck you need to use your spells in the starting turns to get rid of all these creatures like Tamiyo, Goyf, Frog, and Unearthed Oculus and similar. So Drowning Locks are guaranteed to be very good in this build, and we can go down in the number of lands in this version compared to the other one where you need more mana to hold counter spells, pass turn, stuff like that. Here I think I only need 18 lands, so we got 2 Sink to Stupors, which are really good in all these builds. Sink into Stupor is just so amazing. And yeah, 16 other lands, and that's very simple, and that's the whole deck. Okay, so on the sideboard I got non-creature hate, I got creature hate, additional DUSK, some graveyard hate, Harbinger to the Seas. So obviously the card missing from the sideboard is Consign. I decided this time to try a 1 DUSK. I didn't have much space here, but the other option, if you really want to play Consign, is just to add third spell pierce instead of third force of negation instead of pierce, remove pierce and 1 DUSK to add like 2 consigns. That's probably the safest way to do it, and that's it. Okay, so but DUSK is almost like sees 0 play in the modern right now, and I think it doesn't deserve that treatment. It's a very decent card, a decent cyber card, which can be brought in against a lot of matchup, and it's very efficient. I think better than Inquisition of Kozilek when needed post board. So yeah, okay. That is it. We can now go check the gameplay, but before that, let's first go remind me on my dictionary profile, where you can use these two tiers to subscribe. $10 tier, $20 tier. Okay, so in the $10 medium tier you can find all these sideboard guides. A Domain Zoo sideboard guide, fully updated recently a few days ago, and I'm currently working on updating Mardu Energy sideboard guide, and when I'm done with that I will be doing a guide for one of these Frogculus builds, DIMIR. Okay, also recently made this tips and tricks on Energy and Zoo, 5,500 words, a lot of pages of my thoughts again on these 2 decks and their matchups in modern. Okay, so we'll be doing more work here, and the tips and tricks article is available only in the guide tier. Okay, so that's it. We can now go check out the gameplay. Okay, so let's go check out the match 1. It was another trophy league, so which was actually pretty amazing because First, I brewed the Frogculus list with counterspells and Murktide last week, and then in first try I went 5-0 with it. Then I made DIMIR Soul Trader build, and then I went 4-1 with that one. It was pretty cool, but missed trophy for a bit. And then I made this build with Nethergoyf, similar to the initial list, but a little bit more proactive with Nethergoyfs and Thoughtseize instead of Murktides, counterspells, and spell snares. And immediately got the trophy first try with this one, and then made the Sultai Crabwine build using also Oculus and Psychic Frog and Unearth, and then again did the trophy in a first try. So I did a bunch of trophies there, really a bunch of trophies in that situation. Okay, so my opponent goes for Overgrown Tomb here, and yeah, please Nethergoyf. They are on 9 life at the moment. Okay, so I go for I don't need to actually do anything because I just discard a card on Frog, and I have lethal with my flyers, so that's an easy kill against a giant here in game 1. Let's check out game 2. Okay, so we can see the sideboarding plan. We are playing against a giant. But yeah, the Harbinger of the Seas is just much better against Giant than like Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon. It makes all their basics islands, which makes them completely useless. Okay, so this was a quick concede by the opponent in game 2 for the quick win in match 1. So let's check out match 2. Okay, so I think my opponent did misplay there and just decided to concede the match. So that was a fast one. Okay, so here we got Tamiyo on turn 1. But opponent is playing first. They got Ethervile here, starting with the Temple Garden Ethervile. So I have no idea what they're playing for now, but my opponent plays turn 2 Devoted Druid, so now I have some idea of what's going on here. I go for the attack with Tamiyo, get the clue token. I have a double cantrip to flip Tamiyo, but I flip over Oculus and decide it's better plan to just unearth the Oculus in this situation. Turn 2 Oculus is truly amazing, and it's the fastest clock you can have, but here you can see my opponent finds a combo on turn 3 and did not have a removal this time, so there was nothing I can do here, and opponent I have to see the kill condition, and they had the ballista, so they made enough mana. They needed like 32 here to kill me, so they made 32 mana, play ballista and do the kill. Yeah, okay, so that was game 1. Let's check out game 2. Classic turn 3 kill with Devoted Druid. Okay, here I keep a 1-lander past the turn, but it is a 1-lander where I also have Consider. And this time I decide to play Nethergoyf on turn 1. And yeah, turn 2 I find a Mishra Bauble, and I dig with Consider for another land. I did not find it, but I have 2 bubbles to dig more. I find another Consider still. I don't find what I was looking for, but here I find a second land with another Consider, play the second Goyf and continue attacking. My opponent is at 14 right now. Okay, I kill the Brood Scale because they have Saga resolving next turn, so they'll be able to get the combo. And yeah, they have Blade, they have Agatha, they have Giver of Runes, but yeah, they don't have a combo, not even close. And yeah, they try to go for the protection here, but that's totally fine by me. I go for kill construct in response, and try to grow my Goyfs further with Nethergoyf, but my opponent has a Soul Cauldron, and he already shrinked it down to the 3-4 instead of it should have been like a 4-5-6 by now. Okay, I use Go for the Throat to kill Giver of Runes, continue attacking, and I have lethal next turn, so that is the game. Okay, so one game 2, and now I also have to win in game 3. Let's check the sideboarding plan. As you can see here, I boarded out one Tamiyo, one Unearth, one Thoughtseize, to bring in mostly just a Toxic Deluge and 2 removal pieces from the side. Go for the Throat and shoot the Sheriff. Okay, so I go for crack Bauble on their turn, so I can easily flip Tamiyo on my turn with Thought Scour if I want. Okay, so I go for I go for the Thought Scour, and in this situation, if I mill over some creature, I can use Unearth on it. So Thought Scour is really good in this deck, and I wait for them to play another creature so I can use a Toxic Deluge to kill all. And then Tamiyo is already on 6. Opponent plays Brute Scale. Tamiyo is now on 8. I have multiple options here. I can do whatever I want. Hardcast Oculus, save the Sink into Stupor, go for the Throat, whatever. I decide to let this Agatha resolve. Opponent is here attacking for 1 damage. Try to put a counter on Agatha Soul Cauldron. I go for the Throat, but they have a Veil of Summer, so yeah. That didn't really work out for me, so 2 damage went through with Tamiyo, and this meant that I won't be ulting Tamiyo this turn, but it's still fine. I play a Goyf, which is a great blocker here. Great blocker, Tamiyo is on 8, and next turn I can ult it, and when I ult it, basically game over. And opponent tries to equip a Luxior here. I go for the Sink into Stupor in response, but I've definitely misplayed here. Forgot that Eldrazi's Scion is in the game from last turn and they can give it protection. But it didn't really matter since I was able to protect my Tamiyo, ult it next turn, drawing like half of my deck, so that's just too much for the opponent. They don't have cards in the hands to fight what I'm doing. Okay, so I continue plussing the Tamiyo. I have Goyf I can attack with. I also decide to play Psychic Frog. With so many cards in hand, the Psychic Frog is it's pretty easy to do kill with Frog next turn. Okay, so I just play my cards, continue attacking with Nethergoyf here. I go in 4-5. Next turn I have a kill with Frog. I keep mana here mostly for Drown in the Lock. Drown in the Lock is a really good underplayed card at the moment. Okay, so opponent plays a creature and passes the turn, but they have a blocker for Nethergoyf, but they don't have a blocker for Frog, so it's pretty easy for me just to discard enough cards on Frog, give it flying, and end this game, and so it was. Okay, so that was win and the match in this match 2. So let's check match 3. Okay, so in the match 3, and now I was playing first, and I have double Tamiyo, 2 lands, and Sink into Stupor. I have removal, I have Consider, so I can dig turn 2 for another cantrip to flip Tamiyo, but opponent has Dismember here, which is totally fine because I have another one, and opponent doesn't have a 7 mana spell for their second Eugene's Labyrinth, but yeah, they play a Flesh Raker, and they have 4 mana next turn, which is the scary turn for when you're playing against the Tron. I was able here to flip the Tamiyo, start plussing it, and hopefully Tamiyo can go quickly and ulti. Here I play the Psychic Frog, go for the Survey Land, pass the turn, protecting Tamiyo with Psychic Frog. It's really close to getting ulti just in 2 turns. When I am tapped, I have a Psychic Frog as a blocker, I have Sink into Stupor for whatever they play, and my opponent still didn't find that 4th land, so they concede that game, and it was time for game 2. Let's check out the sideboarding plan. This is Eldrazi I'm playing against. It's not Eldrazi Ramp or Through the Breach Eldrazi, but the aggro version of Eldrazi playing mostly creatures. So what we want from the sideboard is the removal. So I brought in the Toxic Deluge, the Go for the Throat, and Shoot the Sheriff. That's mostly cards I want. Trim the 1 Thought Scour, 1 Tamiyo, 1 Unearth, 1 Oculus, and 2 Drowning Locks to fit those cards in. Also Harbinger of the Seas. Okay, so I'll just play these 1-mana cards to put them in the yard, so I have enough cards in the yard to play the Oculus. But the opponent has a very good start, and yeah. They have 2 line breakers attacking me for 10. That is very, very strong turn 3. And my hand is decent. I can play Oculus here. And I can also play Deluge, kill both line breakers. And I have the Harbinger. I have everything next turn, but I'm just too low on life. So that's not enough. Okay, so here I go for the Oculus. And opponent has Dismember, and that is sufficient to do kill here. If they didn't have this Dismember, I would be really close to stabilizing, but yeah, that was a good play for the win, so lost the game 2 there. Let's check out game 3. Okay, so game 3. Medium hand. I have double Tamiyo. I don't have cantrip in my hand. So I decided to start with Thoughtseize. I think that was a good decision. Okay, so here opponent has a triple Chalice, so there's no point in taking Chalice with Thoughtseize there since they have triple Chalice, so this will just happen, so I can't prevent them playing Chalice on turn 1, but that's kind of slow, and it works well into my hand with Psychic Frog. Opponent plays the Line Breaker, and now it's a race. I first go for the attack, discard everything except for this Deluge, attack with Frog, draw a card, play the Toxic Deluge, kill the Line Breaker. So opponent now plays their lands, and I know their hand. Their hand is Chalice of the Void and Lightning Bolt. So my opponent and the mystery card they draw for turn, of course, it's very hard for them to deal with 8-9 Frog with any card when they have just 4 mana. They needed exactly Kozilek's command to survive this, but yeah, that didn't happen, so I got the win here, and that was a match against Eldrazi aggro. So let's check out match 4. Okay, so in the match 4, I was playing a first and I kept a decent hand. So I started off with Surveil. I have a turn 2 Frog and good turn 3. I have Sink into Stupor, I have Fatal Push, Thought Scour, so a lot of options. Okay, so I'm playing first, so I think I can safely start with a Psychic Frog on turn 2. My opponent, if they play Bolt, I can protect my Frog, so they need push, and it's hard for these decks to get rid of Frog. They usually have to use 2 cards in a situation like this. We can see here that my opponent just tar fires Frog and then plays the Nethergoyf. Okay, so here I fatal push the Goyf and go in for with Frog. Play the Thought Scour, play the Nethergoyf, so my Frog is 3-4, Nethergoyf is 4-5, and I'm attacking for a lot of damage here. So yeah, here I go for Drowning Loch, kill the Frog, attack for 7, put them down on 7, play the Bauble, play the land, draw the turn, pass the turn, and my opponent plays Goyf and Sate's name, and they had 3 Sate's name in the yard, but they didn't use the ability. But even if they did, I would have Sink into Stupor for their creature, so I would still get the kill, and that would not be enough. But yeah, here I had the lethal, and that was game over, so that was game 1. Let's check out game 2 against Junt with Sate's name. Jump Delirium, I'm guessing. So I brought in the Nihil Spellbombs. That is the most important card for this matchup. We can see here me trimming 1 Oculus, 1 Thought Scour, 2 Tamiyos, 2 Thoughtseizes, 1 Unearth, 1 Bauble. So a lot of cards because there are a lot of decent cards that I can put in post board. I have Harbingers, which yeah, I mean, they are Delirium deck, a lot of 1-mana creatures, so they will have to find their shocks and then go for basics later. And I think Harbinger of the Seas can win you a lot of free games in matches like this. Okay, so I board in the Harbingers, the Nihil Spellbombs, which makes their Fly Trap worse. It makes their Sate's name terrible. It makes Nethergoyf bad. So definitely Nihil Spellbomb is a great card there, and also their big card Fly Trap gets much worse. Okay, so I decide to discard a frog here and play Harbinger of the Seas. In this situation, my opponent doesn't have much to do except play the one of their green spells like a Rumble. They still don't have Delirium, and I have Swamp, I have Islands, and yeah, I can play the Spell Bomb, and I go for attack with both creatures, deal 5, put them down on 8, play another frog and hold Nihil Spellbomb if they try to play something relevant. And yeah, that was enough for a quick win against John Delirium. Okay, so you just have to play enough Graveyard Hate, and then that matchup becomes pretty easy. Okay, so it's time for match 5 of this league for the trophy, which I did win here. So let's check out how it went. I have pretty cool hand. There is Tamiyo. Turn 1, I have a turn 2 frog. I have Fatal Push. I have Consider, but yeah, Eldrazi's is always strong matchup, especially the Eltron Eldrazi. It's pretty hard to play, and yeah, here I decide to go for Watery Grave and play the Psychic Frog this turn. That seemed best. So next turn I can play, can deal damage, draw a card, then play the Consider, flip Tamiyo, play the Thoughtseize. It seems like a great turn, but I find a second Thoughtseizes, and I look at my opponent's hand and I see very difficult hand. So my opponent's hand is Kozilek Command, Thoughtseizes, Double Karn, and Devourer of Destiny, and they also have Natural Tron next turn, 7 mana from hand without cracking the Expedition map. So they have option to cast this Devourer of Destinies next turn. That seemed terrible for me as their best play, so I wanted to take that. So I took the Devourer, let them play whatever else. I go for a Fatal Push here, kill the Thoughtnot, connect with a Psychic Frog, start drawing more cards. I have my Tamiyo flipped, and on 6, so threatening to ulti in 2 turns. My opponent goes for Karn and finds a Cityscape Leveler. Okay, so they did use this before, and the Thoughtnot, so only card I know from their hand is Karn, the second Karn, the Great Creator. Okay, so I can use this turn to kill the Karn, play the land, play the second frog, play also the Tamiyo, and now my Tamiyo Planeswalker is on 8 counters, which means they have to find a solution for it. They go Glaring Fleshraker and the Mindstone. Yeah, they're making this Eldrazi spawn tokens with Fleshraker, which is kind of hard. But I have Tamiyo next turn threatening to ulti, so but my opponent has this Cityscape Leveler taking my Tamiyo and making another token with Eldrazi with Glaring Fleshraker. Every time they play a colorless spell, I lose 1 life, so it's a hard card to play against. Okay, so I go for 2 frog abilities, give them flying, and hold Sink into Stupor in hand. Also go with Tamiyo since it automatically flips when I deal damage with 2 frogs. So yeah. I flip my Tamiyo, I draw 2 cards, and I also have Unearth, so I can go for Sink into Stupor and also have mana to unearth the Oculus. So I manifest a card. Opponent is on 10, and I have 10 damage flying on the field. Unfortunately, my opponent has a Cityscape Leveler, and if I don't Sink into Stupor the Leveler, I'm losing all my chances. But my opponent also finds a kill with Walking Ballista, and I decide it's too much. At this moment I can't handle Fleshraker killing me plus Ballista. They have a kill, and I can also have to block the Leveler, and the Leveler also threatens me to kill, so there is no chance here of not dying. So yeah, that is the game. So I go lose the game 1, so have to win the next 2 to find a trophy. Okay, so but I think I'm favored in games 2 and 3 since my sideboard is pretty cool against them. I have this Harbinger of the Seas, and already have Thoughtseizes in the main. And when you have this Harbinger, especially paired with Unearths, they are really strong. And I can also use like Consider a Thought Scour to find them, dig for them, or put them in the graveyard. Okay, so here I start attacking with Tamiyo, played Thoughtseize this turn, and I discard all this dust from their hand. They have Devourer of Destiny, and they have 7 mana next turn. I play. Unfortunately, I was hoping to find a 3rd land there to slam a Harbinger of the Seas, but that did not happen. Instead, I decided to flip Tamiyo and pass the turn. Here, opponent plays Devourer. It's a 6/6, and I'm on 12, so it's threatening for a 2-turn kill, and I have to find. A solution here. First, I play Harbinger of the Seas, but my opponent has a strong attacker. I have to find a way to deal with it. I have Harbinger resolved, so it's not an easy game for the opponent. My goal here is to find Oculus. I have Nethergoyf in the yard, which means I can play Nethergoyf, and I can then replay it next turn again and again and again, basically at least like 3 times. And in the meantime, I'm attacking with Harbinger, trying to find something good from the top. Here, opponent goes for Devourer, attack again. Again, I use the Nethergoyf to jump and pass. Okay, so here is Force of Negation. That can be helpful too. First, I crack a clue, try to draw something, and now again I have to find a blocker. Yeah, this time I play the Psychic Frog, and yeah, I have to jump with Frog. Putting frog in the yard means I can then replay the Nethergoyf again from the yard next turn to gain 1 more turn. But in the meantime, I find the card I was looking for. It's Oculus. Oculus is a great attacker here that also provides me with a free blocker every turn. So this was definitely a card I was looking for. Yeah. Okay, so find manifest a creature. Manifested creature can block easily here. And my opponent realizes that he's losing the race, so they stay back. But now I can continue attacking with Oculus. This is 3 turn clock. I have a lot of counterspells, 2 spell pierce, 2 force of negation. I know their hand is double. They have all this dust, so they're definitely going to try to play that. But I have 2 spell pierces, I have force of negation, so that's definitely not going to work, and my opponent realizes that, and I also have lethal next turn, so they concede, and yeah, that is game 2. So let us check the last game of this league for the trophy, and I was playing second against Eldrazi, so let's see what happened. Let's also check out the sideboarding plan. Okay, so 2 Thought Scours, 2 Tamiyo go out, 2 Fatal Push, 1 Oculus, 1 Unearthed. A lot of cards, and also the Drowning Locks. So I need to put in a lot of cards, the Spell Pierces, Force of Negations, and the Harbinger of the Seas. So all these cards are pretty good against them, and it's 7 cards, that is a lot. So need to find space, and the Drown is usually bad against Eldrazi's. I trim some of the cantrips, so I trim a few Tamiyo as well. Fatal Push is pretty bad against them, but still not completely useless since they do play some creatures. But yeah, not enough, and yeah, Fatal Push is often the worst card. Okay, so yeah, here you can see me going for turn 3 Oculus again. Oculus, sorry, not Oculus, but Harbinger. I had option to go for Oculus, but since my opponent is playing Tron, then going for Harbinger made more sense. We can see here I again have option to play Oculus or Frog. Oculus definitely better now. It's a huge threat. A pretty huge threat that can very quickly get you to win, but here opponent has Expedition Map, finds Wastes, then plays Expedition Map, and makes Eldrazi spawn token, which will make them be able to have double colorless mana next turn. Here I decide to try to be as aggressive as possible, discard some cards on Frog, deal 8 this turn, and I have lethal next turn with flyers. So let's see what opponent does. I don't have any protection spells here. You can see opponent playing a Kozilek's Command, making a lot of these Eldrazi spawn tokens, and they exile the Oculus, of course. So this makes things a bit more complicated. Yeah, sorry, opponent didn't exile Oculus, but instead they were digging, trying to find the One Ring. Okay, so they did make the Eldrazi spawns, and they did find the One Ring, which was great for them. But I had a big board, so my opponent still can find. I was afraid of all the dust. I was not able to play Thoughtseize last turn because they had a ring protection, and yeah, unfortunately my opponent does find all this dust, and yeah, I don't have much options here. I can go for the attacks, but they have enough life, and at least I have a Harbinger again on the field, so let's see what happens. Opponent goes down on 5 life with the One Ring, and then 7 mana goes for Devourer, triggering the Flash Raker, killing my Harbinger, and again they are free of Harbinger, and they have their Tron mana, a bunch of lands on the field, making a lot of these Eldrazi spawn tokens, and they attack me down on 2. and I played the frog, so that was my chance. My only chance here was like to but yeah, my opponent does a mistake. They did a mistake, and I think they were low on time. They had only 50 seconds there, so I think they accidentally passed their turn, and which made it great for me. They gifted me this trophy because I was able to just discard cards on the frog and give it flying and win. It's doubtful if opponent would be able to win because they were very low on time. But yeah, this way they just gifted me the win. They pass their turn. I grow my frog, attack it, and I have lethal, exactly lethal. I can grow it to 4 power and give it flying, attack, and my opponent realizes that and concedes. So that is the match, and yeah, that is the entire league. With DIMIR Frogculus, this version at least of the DIMIR Frogculus, completely different version from the one I played last week, and I plan on continue developing both versions and trying to find the perfect one. I think there is you can play a Nethergoyf version, which is really proactive, more aggressive. Tamiyo is great here also. With all the cantrips, it's so easy to flip it, and all these cards that you play because of the Tamiyo works so great with Nethergoyf too, and the Thoughtseize and the Unearths also, and you can unearth every creature in this deck, and the Drowning Lock was like very cool in this entire league, except against Eldrazi's of course. But Drowning Lock can counter some important spells, can counter removal, and can also kill frogs, which is and opponent's Oculus, which is a big deal. So Drowning Lock, I think, very useful card at the moment. And for those matchups where you don't need it, it's easily replaced with usually stuff like Force of Negation, something like that. And yeah, okay, so we can still very effectively play Harbinger in this build as well, and have similar sideboard to the one for which I used in the regular version with Murktide, counterspells, spell snares, and etc. So yeah, both of these versions are pretty good, and the point of them, what makes them good is just utilizing this Oculus maximally in this deck plus Frog. Frog is also an amazing card right now. Oculus is amazing card, and you know what else is amazing? Nethergoyf. It's truly can be one of the best 1 mana creatures in format right now. It's making Rakdos really strong, and all other Rakdos builds are just and John Delirium on Nethergoyf is just super strong threat there. And it's cool that this build works so well with Tamiyo as well, because of the Mishra's Bauble and all the cantrips. It's so easy to flip the Tamiyo, and Unearth works well with these 8 cantrips. And these 8 cantrips also enable your hard casting of Oculus on curve. So this whole deck is very synergistic. I would say it's more synergistic than the Murktide version, but that version also plays a counterspell, which is very strong also card right now, good against a lot of the decks. So but I very much like both of these builds, and they each have its strengths and weaknesses. So I'm still going to do a lot of exploring on this archetype, and will be also dropping the sideboard guide soon for the version I find most appealing to me at the moment. And yeah, okay, so expect a few changes to this build in the near future, but especially in the sideboard. But I really like the main board, and I did like the Drowning Locks. there are definitely possible changes, but I like the Nethergoyfs and the Tamiyos and the Frogs and the Oculus in this version as well. So as I said, there is a lot of testing needed to figure out what exactly is the best Oculus build. And I believe this archetype, Oculus archetype, has potential to be one of the best in Modern. And I decided to take completely different approach from the one I trophied with last week, and then see what happens. And I was again amazed how well it all worked. So yeah, still some decisions have to be made. I have to decide what version I like the most, but both versions I feel like are very playable, so it will be up to other players to help define that. Okay, so finally, so that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video, hope you liked the gameplay. Friendly reminder to click like, click subscribe, comment down in the video, tell me how do you feel about this version compared to the last week version with counterspells, murktide, spell snares, and so on, and which one do you like more and why. And there are a lot of questions still, even I have a lot of questions about these two builds that I have to unravel. So yeah, definitely the archetype I like, enjoying playing a lot, and will be also making it in the paper, so I'll have chance to test there too. And will be dropping my updates on Twitter and on YouTube together with Cyber Guide on Dictionary, so stay tuned for that. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.